Hello, welcome to Model Kit Stuff, first impressions day today, and we're looking at this, the ships of Pavel Nikitin, Osberg Viking ship. This is version 3, it's a people aged 14 and above, and it's a beautiful wooden ship kit. Yes, hello, welcome to First Impressions Day here at Model Kit Stuff, and we're looking at this lovely looking Viking ship. Now, obviously this is based on an actual Viking ship that's been found and dug up, so really interested to see how well they've been able to do this. Ships of Pavel Nikitin are starting to build a bit of a reputation. They're a Ukrainian manufacturer, and you know there's been a bit of a noise and a buzz about them in the background, so I thought it'd be interesting to check them out. And I'm a bit of a sucker for Viking ships. I made a couple plastic ones when I was a kid, and you know all the shields and all that sort of stuff. It really captures your imagination. There are a number of wooden kits of Viking ships about, of different sizes, and I've had one or two of them in the past, looked at them and thought, you know what, I'm not ready to attempt that. This one I think is suitably complex to give us some accuracy and some detail. But having looked at their own build of this on YouTube, I think should be fairly straightforward-ish. We will see. The scale is 1:25, and it comes in this really lovely, this is heavy, sorry, really lovely corrugated top opening box. It tells us that it's made in Europe. It also tells us it's fully plank and detail laser cutting. So all of these planks are individual laser cut planks that we install. Tells us that the length is 860 millimeters, the width is 430 millimeters, and the height is 580 millimeters to the top of the mast there. So it's actually surprisingly wide. I mean, you know they're called long boats, but you don't really think of them as long and wide boats. But of course, that's what gives them great stability and shallow hull for rivers and fjords and what have you. The kit number is DROS003. I guess 3 means the third kit from them. And what is depicted on the box art you can't do from the box. Everything is included with the exception of staining, which is how they get this lovely aged wood effect. You can buy the stains, the recommended stains, at the same time as you buy this if you wish to. I've chosen not to. Okay, so packaging is great. The front image is lovely, and we open up the box. There we go, and inside we've got all of this lovely stuff to look at. The first thing we're going to look at is the plans and the instructions. But I just wanted to show you how well everything in here is packed. It is absolutely rammed to the gills with materials that are all individually wrapped and protected, and you know you're not going to get any scuffing. Yeah, and they give you a serial number, so I'm not quite sure what that's for, but yeah, it's got holes in so you can nail it onto something. I don't think that's the display sign though. Got a lovely looking display stand, but I'm getting ahead of myself. we need to have a look at the instructions. But the packaging is excellent, and this is full to the brim. You know, it's not been padded out or anything. All the small parts are well protected in little bags, and even we've got, if I move this out here, we've got some boxes with various bits and pieces in. So yeah, all nicely pulled together. Now I have to say, I've already opened this box to check that we had what we needed, and this box had broken, and so I had a lot of blocks and things floating around in my box, so just unfortunate that that broke. I will repair it, because these will be really good for storing offcuts and stuff like that. So loads of things in there. We'll get to all of those in this video. So let's crack on with the instructions. So our instructions are landscape A4 with a ring binder and a protective back and front. Quite nicely done actually. And then just get that out of the way because the light is shining off it. So we've got a front cover which tells you that we've got version 3, and so you've got contact details, which is handy because you can buy these kits now from distributors. So in the UK you can buy this through Vanguard Models, but I bought this directly. There is challenges right now as I record this, which is May of 2025. Power cuts and what have you in Ukraine due to the war that's going on there means that you might have some extended delivery times. So a distributor that's holding stock might be helpful for you. So as we turn over, we have a guide to the manual. It tells, we have a little key there for what we need to be doing. So step numbers, drawing number, different tools to be using, detail needs to be painted or varnished or oiled or waxed. So yeah, really helpful. A build key on wooden ship is a little bit unusual, I've got to be honest. Very familiar with it with plastic kits, but wooden ships not so much. Then we've got the parts list. So it's telling us what we've got, what the material is. So we've got MDF, alder, walnut, cherry, beech. So yeah, so it's telling us what all of these things are. And then flip over again, and we've got our details list. So this is showing us the numbers on that little box I showed you. And then we've got threads, 1mm, 0.8, 0.6, 0.45, 0.2, and how many pieces we should have, so we can check all that off while we're doing this. Then we've got our blocks and cleats and fittings listed here. I mean, decent sized blocks, 17mm. We'll be able to do that authentically. That's really nice. Then we've got things like eyes, 2 different sizes of nails. We've got a barrel, and we've got a cooking pot, which I think is 3D printed resin. Then we're on step 1. It's beautifully presented with this sort of Viking artwork along the edges, and we can see all of our part numbers. The numbering system looks a little bit complicated to me, so I'm not quite sure what this is going on. We'll have to get familiar with it, look at the plans, look at the parts. But we've got numbers against each part as well, but some of them have the same number because they're fundamentally the same part. So yeah, we seem to be building up. If you look at this, we glue these 3 pieces together, these 3 pieces together, and then that forms that one single piece. And those 3 go together, forms that piece. And then as we go over, we can see that what we've been doing is starting to build a jig by the looks of it. There's little notches in there which suggest frames are going to go in. So yeah, quite a complex little jig setup being put together. So I don't think we've actually started on the ship here. I think this is a build cradle. Yeah, definitely looks like a build cradle. So we'll just chug through that very quickly. They're using locking tabs there to hold that in place. That's interesting, maybe. But it does say glue them in. Okay, and then it's telling us to glue in all of these joints. And then step 10, I think, is the first time we do something actually on the model. And we've got this large frame here which is being sat in there. So we'll have to have a look at that, because I don't know whether I've skipped a page, but I didn't see. Yeah. Right, step 8, building the frame together. Multiple parts, multiple layers, locking pins. Quite a complex little build up that, actually, but getting the depth we need. It's a double thickness, so that's interesting. They're talking about putting a taper in. It's not dead clear to me what that means, but we'll work it out. Then we're putting it in the build cradle. Step 11, and we're starting to build up some frames. So I don't know whether they'll permanently be there or they're just there while you're doing the planking and they get removed. We will see. But yeah, we've got some frames being made. Step 14, more frames. Step 15, inserting the frames. I think they're going to be left in place by the looks of them. What's interesting is you can see all the little cutouts for where the planks are going to go, so that's going to help you ever so much with getting the clinker correct. Alright, so yeah, so this is like test fitting the frames, so make sure they fit, then put them in place inside here so that you can see that they're all done. I'm calling these steps, but they're actually page numbers. Right, so leave it in there while it's glued, I guess, and then we're gluing in what will be the mast post support. And then we've got, not quite sure what those are. They're not the clearest instructions in the world, I've got to be honest. They seem to be supports, I think that's them there. So yeah, so check that they fit. Then we've got tops to the ribs going on top. That's going to be the deck support beams. So again, it's file it, glue it, file it, glue it all the way along. Then we've got all of these parts being identified, which then go on the top. So quite a complex little construction, but that's going to be a lot of fun. And that gets you to a basic model with the frames being shown. Then we're building up this. I'm not quite sure what that is. It seems to be some form of base. Is this going to be another build cradle? Yeah, it appears to be another cradle, so I'm just going to jump through that. This is to help you do the planking, so that's clever. We're going to put the frame on upside down and it's going to sit in these notches, and therefore it will be stable while you're doing your planking. How brilliant's that? And there you have an image of it. Then we can put our keel on, prow and what have you. Stern post, it's not really a post though, is it? So it's showing you the parts being used, that's handy. And then we are putting on our first planks, and it's showing you each individual plank and where it goes. Brilliant, really, really handy. Yeah, so planking. So unlike a lot of ships where you're shaping planks, these are all laser cut, so all you're doing is cleaning them up, test fitting, installing, and I guess if you want to do tree nailing and stuff, you can do that as you go, so that's really cool. I might do that. Yeah, lots of planks, so let's just whip through planks, more planks, more planks. Then we've got an edge plank here which has got some cutouts. That's to allow the oars to go through. And there we go, we have a lovely planked hull. That is really cool. Then we're making some more changes to the build cradle, so that the hull will sit on top. It's going to be sitting really high. I mean, it's not a bad thing, but yeah. Right, deck planking, individual planks. So yeah, you can see here we're going to have to remove them from the laser cutting. That gives you all these individual planks. I don't think I'll take them all out like that. I think I'll take them out as I use them. And then drop them into place there. So I guess we can glue them together to form a plate, can we? I would have thought there was some shape to that, so don't know. There is a supporting build video, so it's worth watching that and see how they've done it as the manufacturer. But yeah, all those planks go down, so we now have basic hull, outer and deck in place. Then we've got, which looks like steps, so there must be an incline to this or something. Then we've got a rail going on the outside, and we've got these little spacers to put in, so 4mm spacers. Then we are putting some support parts in here. Don't know whether that's bow or stern. We're building up some wooden parts which we've then got to shape to form this piece, which goes on the back of the rudder there. Okay, that's interesting. You can see it's got little steps in the back. That is to allow it to fit nicely to the steps in the clinker. Right, okay. So I guess it's a tiller rather than a rudder. Then we've got this part here, which we've got to shape to look like that. So a lot of actual woodworking skill needed here. Making the oars, they don't look particularly like the oars I've seen on the actual model, so we might want to sense check those. They might have simplified them, but yeah, it depends on whether you're displaying it with the oars out or not, whether you'd worry too much about that. Got a little bench being made there by the looks of it, and it's the first time we've actually seen referencing to the plans, but we're putting, these are basically the racks for the oars. Then we've got some outer parts that go on. These will have get the thickness right, and then we've got the decorative parts going on, and yeah, seems to be showing the oars going in again, oar racks going in again for some reason. Then we're adding the tiller. Yeah, we're nailing that that in, and the tiller arm will be there. Then we've got the shields. I'm going to be tempted to paint the shields, I think, and bring a little bit of colour to it. But you can see the shields being made up. So we've got detail on the inside. We've got a centre boss, which I believe is 3D printed. We've got an outer ring to give it detail. So all very nice. Right, and then we're adding cleats, and don't know whether those are metal parts or what they are. We certainly haven't made them up. That could be rope work. Don't know. Right, then we're building up all the parts and shaping them to make this centre bit where the mast sits out of. So again, fair bit of woodworking needed to get that right. They give you a guide to the shape by cut out parts, but then you finish shaping it. So barrel sander and then sandpaper. Now we're starting to put some of the fittings in. So we've got, I think that's the spar rack. So I think you could lift the mast out and put it on the rack, and same with the spar. So when she's not in use and moored up, you know, you don't have the mast up all the time. You can collapse it all down. It's quite clever. Cooking pot going in. We can see that being assembled. We've got an anchor and rope. We've got 4 barrels going in. So I guess water, beer, food, beer. Have a reputation, do the Vikings, but actually brewed drinks were safer to drink. Then we've got the head pieces going in on the top there, so some nice details. Yeah, interesting. Then we're putting our oars on the rack. Page 63, and we're starting the rigging. So this is what's making me think this might be rope work, because these are some form of fastener going in to do the, don't know whether they're called shrouds or stays or what they are on a Viking ship. Then we're adding the spar, and they're doing that in detail to show you how that looks. Okay, so we've got a sheave block so that it can be raised and lowered, and then we've got a couple of ropes going round, and we've got like a U-shaped piece which is allowing it to swing around the mast, and then some blocks going on, then more rigging. Then the sail goes on, which is a pre-printed sail. Okay, that seems to be an easy process, doesn't it? Just lashing it on along the top, and then we've got some lashing points there, and then the 2 corners. Then some more rigging at the front of the sail. I believe they were wool and leather in real life, these sails. Then more rigging at the back. It's starting to look more and more complicated. Then we're building our display stand, which has got a nice bit of wording on it. It's nice and simple. Pulling that together shows you what that looks like. Job done. So 71 pages. Some parts of it looks simple, some parts of it look a little bit complicated. Need to get used to the instruction format, I think. Let's have a quick look at what we've got in the way of plans. Well, the first thing in the plan pack is we've got this laser cut piece of paper. Who knew you could laser cut paper? And I guess this is going to be the template for that centerpiece that the mast goes in. Look at the size of it though, it's huge. This is going to be an impressive model when it's done. So put that carefully to one side. So in terms of plans, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 plan sheets. So they seem to be fairly complicated in their fold. They are huge sheets. We're not going to get all this on camera. Yeah, it's big is what it is. This seems to be showing all the rigging. So this is sheet 3 of 4, and it is to exact scale, and suddenly realise what you've just bought into. So yeah, I mean, this is giving you an understanding of the size. So yeah, this spar is not small at all, because it is from my fingertip to my elbow. That's how long it is. So this is definitely, you need to consider your display space. But it is showing you where everything is. So I said, oh, we're building up a little stool. It looks like we've got lots of stools all the way along, so rowing seats. One thing that's interesting is they show a little image here of a Viking warrior, to give you an idea of scale of the people. Don't believe it comes with crew. So yeah, you can see it's really nice detailed pictures. You can really orientate yourself nicely from that. And I think this will look really quite impressive with all the oars out. So that's sheet 3 of 4, just the first one I grabbed. So it does say all these plans are 1-to-1 on the plans, and again, they're all the same size, so they're all huge. So I'm not quite sure which ones we're looking at each time. But this has got benzol tying, so I think that is the ropes that we saw. I wasn't sure if it was metal or ropes. I think that's those ropes. Then we've got that tapered piece, so we are going to be referencing plans quite a bit. Steering or tying using the 8mm thread. Yeah, and then we've got this side profile. So the rudder is about the size of my hand. So this is, yeah. Boy, is it big. I'm looking forward to building that. Got some nice notes on tying cleats. These are huge plans though. So what I'd say, having looked at these plans now, and I can't show it all on camera, they're very nice, they're very detailed, but they're all, a little bit all over the place. So we've got the mast here, we've got the frames here, we've got cross sections of what this should look like with the benches on, for example. We've got the made up ribs here, for example. So there's lots and lots of cross referencing going on here. So it's all on here, but you're gonna have to sort of find it. So yeah, they're really nicely done plans, and in 1-to-1 they are absolutely huge, but I think you've got everything you need on them, including all your rigging nice and clearly. So yeah, I have no issues with them other than they are huge. Where am I going to put them? So So that's instructions and plans. They're all in a Ziploc bag that's supplied with the kit, so you can keep them dirt and muck free while you're working on this. We now understand huge Viking model ship. So we have a lot of parts to go through. I'm going to do this as quickly as I can, otherwise this video will be a week long. So in this Ziploc bag we have the sail, and I thought it was worth looking at the sail because it's pre-printed. There you go, that is the sail. Obviously going to have to do some form of stitching with it. We've got to cut it out and what have you, but yeah, I mean, really nicely done. I think that looks absolutely fabulous. We've got staining and what have you, so yeah, I think that's nice. And it's a big old sail, isn't it? Obviously you don't have to have the sail on. You could save yourself some time on the rigging, but why would you? So again, that's supplied in a little Ziploc bag to keep it safe. So I do really like the packaging. I'm just going to fold that end over there so we can actually close the bag up. There we go. So yeah, I love that. The pre-printing is really nice. These are the rods for the oars. And you can see they're nicely sewn, good quality, just need staining, I think. Just be careful of splinters there. So yeah, bundled in elastic bands. If you're going to be storing this kit for any period of time, take the elastic bands off because they can perish and they can stain the wood, which might affect further staining in the future. The display stand comes with lovely detail and laser etching on there. Really nicely done. There's quite a bit of laser burn on there, so a lot of cleanup needed, but you know, this is solid wood, so it's really quite nice. Might give that a bit of a staining, but there is quite a bit of burn on there, so that's what that orangey colour is. So we might want to go very fine, wet and dry over the top, just to clean that up. We'll have to have a look at the time. I'm just going to show you these parts in the packs to give you an idea of the quality. So this is the frame. I don't want to break the packs up because there's so many of them, and we'll lose what's what. But yeah, we've got the individual planks for planking the deck. We've got the frame there. The laser cutting is nice. The wood seems to be good. We can see we've got all sorts of things in there. But yeah, I'll have to go through this and label things up. Then we've got our planks, just to give you an idea of how big they are. So yeah, again, all solid wood. Laser cutting looks nice and precise. It's gone all the way through, so good standard of laser cutting. Then we've got the other part of our stand. So yeah, that's nice. I mean, big grain in the wood, but don't mind that actually. Then we've got the decorative parts for the hull, and just look at the detail in there. I mean, that's all laser done. That is skillful laser etching. That is really nice. Yeah, love that. So our little ladders that we saw. So yeah, I think we've got to glue those onto there. Not quite sure what those are. They could be those support. Oh no, that's the mast. That's the mast, because that's our sheave block. So that's been pre-cut for you. I hadn't appreciated they were going to do that. So you can see the mast is pre-shaped. That's a nice touch. That is a nice touch. I'm guessing then that this is our spar next to it. So whether we keep it square, I don't know. Interesting. And then more parts, cleats and bits and pieces, parts that we know we've got to shape, but it's all solid wood, there's no plywood or anything like that. This pack must be about half the weight of the box. It is so heavy. You've got some big sheets of material in here. I'm just trying to, it's fiberboard is what it is. So this is all of our stuff to build up the jigs and things, so not actually parts of the ship. And we'll end up chucking all of this at the end, but it's fiberboard and it's huge, but it's nicely laser cut, it's pre-numbered, tells you what things are. We've got little labels in there as well, so yeah, and then all packaged together. So I think that is nicely done. We've got packs here that have got, these are the blades for the oars, we've got the bits for the shields there. I think there's 3 or 4 the same there. Not quite sure what these are. I think that's definitely for the barrels. Are we making the barrels? We're not making the barrels, are we? Are we making the barrels? Oh my gosh, I think we're making the barrels. Then we've got the shields. So laser cut shields with laser burnt etching on it, which I like, but I'm going to want to pick them out in colours and paint them and make that a bit more exciting, I think. And then you've got these rims. Maybe a bit of research on Viking shields is needed. Then we've got our snake head and tail. Look at that. Isn't that nice? And the detail is just stunning. Really, really stunning. Love that. We've got the parts there for the oars. Not quite sure what these are. Lots of things that are the same, lots of repetition. This is the seats, the little hand benches, the little hand holes in them so you can pick them up and move them about. How clever is that? Well, I can't remember what these are, but again, these are quite thick, 4mm deep, small parts to be cutting out of. I mean, getting those out will be tricky because they're so narrow. To get your blade in to get them out is going to be tricky. Cut from both sides, I think. Then we've got some wood strip, for want of a better term. I'm not quite sure what we're doing with that. And that is all the main wooden parts. So now we've got the sort of detail parts. We've got some pre-cut wooden parts here, really nicely done. I can take these out of the bag. They seem to be stained, but they're not necessarily stained particularly well because you've got all of that, so we're going to have to work through that ourselves. I think be doing quite a bit of sand. I'm not sure if it's just laser burn, to be honest. I think we'll have to see if that sands out, but you know, these are pre-cut, pre-drilled holes. Some nice effort going into these. I mean, this is exactly the same, but you can see it does look like they've been pre-stained. And then we've got this part here, whatever that is, I don't know. Has that got something to do with the tiller? I think maybe. Okay. But the fact that they're pre-shaping all these parts, I think that's the tiller arm there. But they're square, so I don't know whether we end up rounding those off or what we do. But, you know, a bit of artistic license. You could do some rope round it, make it more comfortable on the hands and all of that sort of stuff. So that's those, all in a little Ziploc bag. Then this is interesting. So we've got a little Ziploc bag, not mentioned in the instructions in any shape or form. This is the Viking figure we saw on the plans. Look at the detail on that. Beautifully 3D printed resin. And he's almost come out of his transport. I'm just gonna, let's wriggle him off. He's almost detached anyway. Boots are detached. There we go. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? Him stood on your deck looking out will look fabulous. And they give you 2 heads. Always better than one, I find. With a helmet or without a helmet. So he's got a lovely plait there if you're not doing it with the helmet. Shaved head sides. But look at that beard. I mean, that's a pretty epic beard, that. I quite like him with his helmet on, to be honest, but oh, I don't know. Don't know. Which one would you do? Helmet or no helmet? Right, so that's a little bonus that we get this lovely Viking figure 3D printed. I love that. I'm going to dispose of that. Then we have these boxes. These are the last things we're going to look at. And they've got our smaller parts in. So, and they've got numbers on which relate to what they are in the instructions. So an acetate sliding roof, that's really cool. We've got some copper etch. I think these were for tying down the barrels. Okay, copper should be easy to bend about. And then we've got this. This is for rotating the spar. We've got 3D printed parts in here. That's for the cooking pot, I think. Yep, I think they're all cooking pot parts. And that's our cooking pot. Really nicely done. Can have some fun doing a nice weathered burnt pot. The hook. Yeah, so there we go. That's all parts for the cooking pot in that. So they're all grouped together to mean something. Then we've got threads, brown threads, which I think is probably right. All sorts of different diameters, but they're not marked up. So you're going to have to work out what is what diameter. So yeah, that's a shame that we've not got little labels on them. But it's really nice thread. Really, really nice. So let's not get all of that out. And then we've got a pot of paint, copper coloured paint, with an expiry date of March 2024. Well, I guess that worrying about expiry dates is not something that the Ukrainians do as much as us Brits do, maybe. And then we've got thread on these laser cut little, I mean, isn't that nice? It's a little laser cut bobbin, and then they've wound. I mean, I'm going to keep those and use those in the future. I'll find a way of using them because they're just so cool. I wonder if, because they're cut in a shape like that, you could actually slot them into something and be able to draw them off. Anyway, we've got some black thread there. So we've got 3 different colours of thread. We're going to have to work out what the diameters of these threads are individually. I don't think they're going to go back in. Oops. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, so my only real criticism here is I've got no way of knowing what diameter is what. And whilst this is all very nice and everything, I'm not sure it's the best solution. Having these bagged up with a little label on saying what the diameter is would probably be better, personally, rather than having to work it out for yourself. And yeah, I'll sort that in a minute. Right, let's have a look at this other one. Like I say, this one broke in transit, but coming from Ukraine, it's probably been hurled around by a lot of baggage handlers all the way. And we're not known for looking after our post in this country either. So this is mainly blocks and things, but we've got some 3D printed parts here. Not quite sure what that is. So these are the bosses for the shields, and then we've got all sorts of blocks, and they're all a bit mixed up. So we've got cleats there. They look nice. Again, sort of pre-stained, which I'm not sure of because that sort of dictated colours to me, and I'm not sure. But look at the blocks. Machine blocks, really nicely done. We're going to have to we're going to have to sand that anyway, so we're going to be staining anyway, so I'm not sure about it. These are the funny little fasteners being used on the rigging there for the stays. We've got some photo etch brass eyes. More blocks, a couple of copper nails. I think that's for the tiller. A little bit of wire and a small handful of thick, heavy brass pins. So yeah, all sorts of little bits and pieces in here. The blocks are all sort of machined by the looks of them. Yeah, all very nice. As nice as this solution is, I'm not sure that these little boxes are the best way forward, and maybe little bags would have been better, and then dropped inside cardboard box maybe, I think might have been a better solution. But there you go, that's all the parts, so let's sum up. So there you have it, the Osberg Viking ship from the ships of Pavel Nikitin in 1:25 scale. What's my first impressions of that? Well, my first impression is, wow, that is big. What a lovely model that is. That is not a beginner's model, obviously. I would say it's probably an sort of in the middle. Probably don't need to be an expert, but it depends on how difficult the actual hull planking is and whether it actually goes together as well as it looks like it might. If you've got lots of shaping and every part needs work, then you're probably towards the more very experienced end. But I think this is definitely, you need to have got some building experience before you attempt this. And you need somewhere to put it because it's huge. It's huge. But it is really nice. First impression of the packaging, as we run through the numbers as we always do. Packaging is excellent, outstanding packaging. I had one of those boxes break in mine, and so some of the contents came out. So I'm questioning whether those storage boxes are the best way forward. I think Ziploc bags inside a cardboard box would probably protect the parts better. You're less likely to lose the parts because some of the blocks could have worked their way out of this box. I don't know. I think everything's in there though. So yeah, I think that bit of the packaging probably needs a rethink. Whilst it looks very nice and what have you, I'm not sure it's actually lending anything to it. But the rest of the packaging is great. The box is brilliant. You can use this all throughout the build because everything fits in there nicely. So really, really good on that front. Instructions, manual is detailed. As always, you need to do a little bit of adjusting to get your head around it. But I like the use of build icons. I'm familiar with that from plastic modelling. So doing that on wood modelling is fairly new, but works for me, so I quite like that. So yeah, the build sequence seemed to be logical. I certainly wouldn't go in a different direction than they've recommended. Then of course you've got the plans that go alongside the build manual, and they are huge, they are detailed, and they are to scale, so you can really get an appreciation of the size of the thing, but more importantly you can understand where things go and how they work and where you should be placing them. So really, really good. This picture on the front gives you a good understanding of that, and I think with painted shields should look splendid. Materials all seem to be high quality. The 3D printed items, that's definitely the way forward for those detailed parts. The Viking figure, absolutely love that. Absolutely love the Viking figure. Him stood on the deck, giving you an idea of the size of this thing. Brilliant. I want to do some research around the oars because they look a bit simplified to me. Just for me to understand it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm actually going to change the shape or do something different. Yeah, I think all very nice. The laser cutting detail is absolutely stunning, breathtaking. The printed sail, very nice. I think some people would perhaps want something they could stain themselves because this has been dictated to you, but I'm happy with it as it is. There is some work needed on the sails that isn't really talked about in the instructions, so you need to do some rope around the edges and what have you. I didn't see that, so whether I've missed that in the, because I've not fully opened all the plans because they were so big, it might be in the plans, I don't know. The cordage is really nice quality, actually looks like rope, which is good, and we've got lots of different types. My main criticisms is none of the rigging threads have been labelled, which I think is a pain in the bum for the modeller. We've got to work out what everything is, bag it up and label it up ourselves. There's a lot of staining needed to be done on this. They take you through it in the accompanying build videos, but I didn't see a reference to those in the instructions at all, so it'd be nice to reference those in future iterations of the instructions. Just a link to where you can see those. So if you want to recreate this, which personally I don't, then you can do. Now for me, this all looks a little bit like she's just been dug up and put in a museum, and that might be the look you're going for, but I want to do it a bit more like how she would have looked in the day. So I'll do a bit more research on these things. There are several Viking longboats that have been built in modern times to authentic methods, so we've got an understanding of what that might look like. So yeah, I think this is a stunning kit. This is my first dipping toe in with ships of Pavel Nikitin, and I think this is absolutely stunning. There is one or two other kits available from them, so they're absolutely worth checking out. Yeah, I think there's probably more work involved in this than you first think when you look at it, but yeah, they've done lots of things to help you with the build jigs and stuff. I think it's a nicely presented model. It's a huge, impressive size. There's no one's going to walk past that without going, wow, look at that. And that, for me, is one of the things I'm looking for when I build a model. If I'm going to be displaying it, I want people to go, wow, look at that. And this definitely has wow factor. So beautiful, beautiful ship. I've purchased this. This is mine. I own it. I paid for it. I'm free to say what I like. This isn't in any way connected with the manufacturer, so I'm not promoting this in any way. This is genuinely what I think. Having built lots of wooden model ships over the years, this is definitely going to be a new experience for me, and I think quite possibly could be the leading Viking ship on the market from the others that I've had and subsequently got rid of without building. I think this looks very, very nice. There you go. You now know what you get in the box. If, like me, you've not come across the ships of Pavel Nikitin before, you now know what you get in the box. I will leave a link to their website in the video below. Thank you very much for joining me. Until the next time I see you, you enjoy your modelling. Bye for now.